Okay, so that brings us up to, if I can actually see it, that would help. Session number 98 for our Mystara Wednesday game. Help to remember which game it was. Or as our other notation goes, Phase 3, Season 1, Episode 9. I'll get the players to introduce their characters, and then I'll update everyone on where they're up to. Firstly, online we have Jeremy.
Good evening, all. I'm playing Dimitrov, the Goldarwan, sage and wise man, always out to help his fellow man with good advice and information.
Next up we have is Martin.
I'm playing Way of the Kenzai Wood Elf, and I think I'm up to 4 weapons, so that should give me some versatility. As far as interaction, I think I've got 8 charisma, so I'm probably not the most social person.
It's not like your character knows the elven social cues either.
That's right.
And that brings us to Angus.
Alright, I'm playing Xandros, the Total Circle of Stars druid. The great tapestry of time and space has brought him to this moment, and now he's stuck dealing with Dimitri.
That's right. You're on board.
I'm sure it will be a highlight of his memoirs.
Imagine how much you'll learn.
One way to put it.
Okay, the characters had been hired to help clear out a bunch of blood elves who had taken over a dwarven stronghold on the edge of Rockholm. Mia, the elderly dwarf, had brought them in to do a job, mainly because they had one of his great-grandchildren with them. And in the course of it, you managed to infiltrate all the way down to the basement and figure out that it had a teleportation device allowing you to go to multiple locations. As long as you held the sacred object, spoke the words, you could, well, touch and speak the words, you could travel to most locations in the world.
Used to do that.
With the artifacts accompanying us?
They did.
Woohoo!
Because it wasn't teleport or face step or anything that used a blip between. This was an actual equivalent of teleportation circuit.
Yeah. Nice.
Which has a different set of rules for moving items. Other forms of teleportation is an all or nothing. Either you reach your destination or you don't go. A teleport circle generally has the ability to step backwards and return to where you were. Though in this case you need to recite the destination backwards to actually get that.
Mythical fixes too.
Very much so. Now, you had come here with Mia on his final quest to redeem his family. Unfortunately, his quest was time limited, but he was too proud to tell others who were busy with other things. So we start the session with Maya and Bradshaw missing.
Mhm.
And a note saying he could delay no further.
Okay. And what's our location at that point then?
You're still in the tower on the edge of Rockholm,
Okay.
without
Happy with that?
a guide to the underworld in the Shadowlands.
Yep.
So if you came across dwarves, elves, or in between, none of them would give you any good reception.
No. But that's okay, because Dimitri will talk around, obviously.
Yeah.
It's one of the few places where being human is a detriment.
Yep.
Because humans are a minority of the Shadowlands, always an enslaved people. So tonight you get the option of travelling elsewhere.
So we're working on the idea that we effectively can't chase down the blood elves any further into their homeland, because it'll be not a place fit for humans, or turtles, or elves, or just humans. Is it only Dimitri that has a problem?
The Tortle also has problems. And Trellan's never travelled through the Shadow Realm. Because he's not one of the Shadow Elves, they will target him first.
Oh, that doesn't involve Dimitri.
That's right.
You can go just about anywhere. We've got a teleportation system. And then the question now is where.
I'm expecting that much of the teleportation system takes you through the Shadowlands, does it not?
It does not. It will take you to,
Okay.
if you can name the place, you can travel there. I think we worked out there was only 2 letters missing from the teleportation system.
Yep, G and V.
So as long as the places you name don't have a G or a V in them, you're fine, is that right?
That is
Yeah.
correct.
Xandros is going to turn to the others. Any suggestions?
Well,
You wish to return home?
because we'd originally come here when Mia found us just as we liberated the Shadow Elves in the dead magic zone to the south of Alpine. And had arranged for the Shadow Elves to return the missing children that had been kidnapped from particularly elven families. How long has it been since we were actually at that location?
A couple of days at least.
Yeah,
Because
so
you didn't have fast
I was thinking it was at least a couple of days, but I was trying to work out whether it was like of the order of days as opposed to weeks. So if we have got to wait for Mia and or Bradshaw to return before we can continue down through here, perhaps it's worth getting back to the township of the Shadow Elves. They may not yet have had the opportunity to return the children, because they would have had to try and come up with some technique that allowed them to return without ever admitting to the fact that the shadow elves exist. So they may still be trying to work out that quandary, and so we may be able to get back there in time to return the children ourselves before moving on to something different. Do we know whether the return function of the teleport can work if we move away from the point of arrival?
That you don't know. You've only tried it once.
Yeah.
I mean, we can certainly try that. My other question was going to be, can we teleport people who weren't here in the first place? So, like, for example, could we go get, like, the kids, bring them back here, and then use this as, like, a stop-off point to get them back home? And just hope there's no G's or V's in their homeland.
Well, I believe the point is that they came from, most of them actually came from Elfheim itself, didn't it? Elfheim City?
They did.
Yeah.
No G's and V's.
Well, depending upon how you spell it and in what language.
Actually, that's another question. It's like, does language matter?
Well, you have to say it.
So if you can find the name of the place in a language, like, say you want to go to Dragontree, if you can find the name of Dragontree in a different language that doesn't contain a G or a V, you'll be fine.
Though you might need to match the language writing.
Yes.
That's the downside.
Oh, no, that's excellent. From Dimitri's understanding of teleportation circles and things like that, does he suspect?
Martin, we're getting a bit of feedback from your microphone.
Possibly getting the twice.
So which
Sorry, I was trying to pull up my stats while continuing using the phone.
Yeah.
So,
But it looks like you've actually managed to log in twice now. You've got your second hand account also logged in. So, but yeah, so from what Dimitri knows of teleportation circles, is it likely that we could effectively collect the kids, move to Elfheim, and then teleport directly back to Krell?
you could, as long as it works as you expect it to.
Okay.
I think we might want to test that before we go like all in on that. So Xandros can teleport, or not teleport, but can get back here quickly with another spell. So I'd say he would suggest to return to the city we were just in, walk the 2 hours and then attempt to teleport back, and if it doesn't work, find a tree and transport via plants back.
Or get back to the city.
Or get back to the city.
Well, he has learned how to find this place via the trees.
Yeah, so I can come here directly via trees if it doesn't work.
But equally, it could probably be effectively tested on the idea that you've either got to be in the identical spot till you arrive, or you don't. So potentially you could arrive in a location, walk down the street a few hundred metres, and then see if you can teleport back. Like but it
could also depend on the vague you know, if you say, oh, I want to teleport within this city, and you're still within the city, then it might work that way. But if you're beyond, well beyond the city, it might not work that way.
Okay, Dimitri's perfectly happy to give a test run to take. He's certainly interested in the way portals and teleportation things work, and he's more than happy to use guinea pigs to find the testing, so off you go.
Alright, then Xandros is going to head to the jail. cell. Of course, yeah. Head to the floor with the cells on it, speak the name of the city we were just in, and teleport out.
Okay. Is anyone going to join him in the cells?
Well, Dimitri will certainly go to watch the process.
Okay, so Dimitri teleports with him.
I'll watch.
As does Trello.
Yep.
He forgot to mention that anyone within the same level goes with him.
I don't think Xandros was fully aware of that.
Well, that's all right. It's all part of the testing procedure.
Yeah.
Now, okay, if Xandros is the one that activated it, Dimitri will now attempt to return.
Okay. Does Xandros hand over the talisman?
Okay, so we're going to get one talisman.
Yes, because regardless of how this goes, Xandros can get himself and anyone stuck in the city back to that point.
Well, I mean, I think if we've only got one talisman, then probably intend to actually arrange it. We'll all go back, but it probably will test the script, so I don't want to actually activate it to go back. So probably we'll all stand within, between the like hands on the shoulder type stuff, as Dimitri attempts to give us the teleportation.
Okay, Dimitri tries to say the words. So can he say Selenica backwards?
Is Selenica the place where we've got the dwarven key?
No, that's the place you teleported to from the dwarven key.
Oh, right, yes, so we go back up, we went to Selenica and go through this. So Selenica backwards.
Don't worry, it's written up in there for you. If you look at the chat section. Yeah, what's the reason it was put in there in the first place?
Oh, you're okay, you've written Selenica, but not reverse type stuff, so...
I left that up to the skill of the player.
A Sin Alice.
So you say a Sin Alice while grabbing the talisman and nothing seems to happen.
Okay. Hand it back to Gatos and confirm that they're all need to be the same person. So.
Xandros is going to say, just to make sure it's not a mispronunciation. Instead of a Sin, Akin or Akinilus? I'm struggling enough with the English words to spread. Don't ask me to do them backwards.
But it's also the sort of thing that it is likely that it has to be the same person to say the word, because you then put the pronunciation or the intonation in the same way. So let's face it, Dimitri's a linguist, he's unlikely to say it incorrectly.
So Xandros says it backwards, and you find yourself... firstly, does Xandros wish to bring Dimitri and Trellin back with him?
Yes.
Then the three of you find yourself back in the cells. And so yes, it is a choice of whether you bring people back with you. There's no choice to go to their destination, but there's a choice to bring them back.
Well, what we don't know yet is whether or not you can bring back people that didn't travel with you.
That's one up on Dimitri.
So does this mean you're going to abduct someone?
Thank you very much.
No, just one up on Dimitri.
I'm not sure how you count that, but yeah, Dimitri certainly working on the idea. Oh yeah, you've got to work out whether or not it makes sense to bring someone back who didn't travel initially. So yeah, why don't you go off somewhere again and grab someone and see if you can bring it back?
Xandros looks at Dimitri with a slightly horrified look. No. Just no.
Why not?
I'm not abducting someone.
You can take it back again afterwards.
I'm not pulling a Drazzle, okay? I'm not abducting someone and bringing them to a place they have no idea.
Well, I'll only be here for a moment.
I will have no part of it. And he keeps tight hold of the talisman.
Oh, but were you planning on trying to bring all the kids back here?
Yes, but the kids would want to come here.
Okay. Same difference there? Go to the Blood Elves, sorry, the Shadow Elves settlements and contact them and bring the kids back here.
Each time we teleported to the city, have we always ended up in the same spot?
Nope.
No, okay.
You know for a fact it's not the same spot.
Okay, in that case then, let's see. Xandros is going to... Were there any, like, key free-based landmarks that we would know about in the city? Such that Xandros was to say, hey, like, I'm going to transport via plant to the city, meet me here, and we'll see if I can be teleported back.
You do know a very good landmark, which is the Night Rivets Inn.
Okay, and then would you say there is a tree that I would know well enough outside the city? Or within feasible distance to the inn?
You haven't spent a lot of time there yet.
What about if you if we try going to a specific location in a city, teleport wise, or rather a specific location like say the what do you call it? Basically the upper floor that's open to the air of Krogar Keep. Basically teleport to the top of this tower where we free the old Fae, and that will test to see whether you can go to a specific location.
We also don't know if it has like a busy time, wherein like if you teleport somewhere and then try and teleport somewhere else, if it will allow that, or if you have to do like teleport to point A, teleport back, teleport to point B, teleport back, or whether you can just go teleport to point A, teleport to point B.
Well, the other reason that I'm suggesting trying to teleport to the top of Krogar Keep is saying top of Krogar Keep in backwards becomes more challenging, and the more accurate you describe the place you're going to, the more difficult it is going to be saying reverse.
That's a very good point.
But the difference being, if you go to the top of Krogar Keep and you can't come back, well, you just come down the steps.
Okay, yeah, that's a good idea. Let's do that.
Idea from Dimitri. That's pretty outlandish.
Okay, you spend about 10 minutes getting all the letters together. Which is, you have to crisscross the dungeon to do so. So on the dungeon map that I showed last week, each cell has a different letter in it.
Uh-huh. Which of course then reminds the fact that we're probably going to find Karameikos dwarf or something. Since it's got a key.
Yeah.
And after spending about 5 minutes into it, you realise you don't have the letters to spell this.
Is there something similar that we can spell?
What about if you just try top of this key?
Do we know if we can use letters more than once?
You're unsure.
Well, we use a couple of E's to let it go.
Good point, actually. Yeah.
And there are 2 E's in the cells.
Perfect. So in that case,
So technically doing Selenica, you only use each letter once.
okay.
But
I still-
if we have got a limitation on the total number of letters, then that certainly limits the opportunity to try and define locations.
I still think the... Okay. This is going to be very tenuous, so stick with me here. We teleport to the inn Martin just mentioned. Xandros finds a tree, becomes best friends with the tree, we teleport back, and then we test to see if you have to go, if someone can be teleported back and they weren't teleported originally.
Yeah. Remember, in night we need to take a cue.
Yes, it does. Well, we only have to get back to the city, and I just have to find a tree. And we teleport back to the city, and we just use the inn as like a meeting point in the city.
Point.
You happy with that?
So your plan is to
Awesome, because it's not Dimitri's fault.
Excellent. Yeah. So,
So the thought, your thought is that you're looking to tree-walk to Salonika, we teleport, and we meet at the night tree.
I don't know any trees there that are like that I'm besties enough with to use my transport via plants. So teleport there using the cells just to the city. Find a tree, become best friends with the tree, and then teleport back. Xandros will teleport via, use transport via plants to get back to the city. You teleport to the city, we meet at the inn, and then we try and teleport back, and we see if Xandros gets taken. If not, then I can transport via plants back to the key.
Just ask how many times you can transport via plants.
And here's a 6th level population.
Never mind, I can do one of them. I cannot get back. Because I would lose a day. Okay. Well, I can. We're not on a time limit. Well, we're not. Xandros has no reason to believe he's on a time limit because I don't think Maya mentioned it to him. So
I can't the problem I can talk to us.
yeah.
You talk mainly to the dwarf.
I think Xandros' thinking would be, well, if this doesn't work, I can spend a night at the inn and then, well, if it doesn't work, I would assume they would come looking for me and not just leave me. In which case,
Who's they?
Just who do you give the talisman to? Who do you trust?
yeah, it's not going to Dimitri's. Just because I know there is a greater than 0 chance that Dimitri will leave behind.
I don't know what you're talking about.
So,
The difference is you'd have to believe that Dimitri would think of you important, and not leave you. He wouldn't be leaving you behind. He'd just be moving on.
Well, I mean, hey, and like, you can obviously see that Dimitri is definitely interested and invested in this experimentation process.
Okay.
As long as he gets his hands on the talisman.
Yeah. Commitment to the bit. I still think Xanos is going to hand it to Trello instead.
Though he will have to attune to the talisman.
Limit on
Xandros
attunement.
is attuned to it.
There is. You can only have 5 attunements.
That's
Well,
fine.
this is new information to me. I was not aware I needed to attune to the talisman.
You attuned to it last session.
Did I? Okay, I did not make a note of that, but I will do that
And
now.
probably
Normally it's only 3, so it's a generous ruling.
It's 1 per character tier.
Yeah, you probably don't have
Plus 2.
magical items at the moment that buy you anyway, so it's not an issue for you to do.
So Martin,
Dimitri, he wouldn't be keen on doing something like that.
So Martin, you get 2 free attunements plus 1 attunement per character tier.
Got you.
So
as
as
just got to level 11, we recently got an extra attunement slot.
Okay, cool.
which comes in important.
Yep.
So yes, who do you hand it over to attune the item, meaning that you'll lose access to the item while they have it?
And this is, I don't know if Xandros has any way of knowing this, but is there any restriction on who can and can't attune to it?
You have not
We
tried
have
it.
no way of knowing.
And though Drizzle does ask, can you push other person through tree?
I can put other people through trees.
Drizzle send people backwards, you send people through trees.
Can the spelling of Dragontree in Elvish have a G?
Will be whatever's on the map. I'm about to look it up for you.
Right, so like, on the Alpine map, it's listed as called Dragontree.
Then it'll be as the spelling is there.
Right. It's not like the whole, the map being all written in Bayesian Common.
Because that is the name of the region.
Yeah, that's obviously I was thinking of the fact that yes, if we're missing it, well, actually, noting the problem, Dimitri's going to have a good look around, another look around the room and things like that. Just make certain that they didn't miss the G when they were doing the search. And what was the other letter? A V or something?
They'll actually type in the whole, as you go around, this is what you actually see as the letters.
Oh, okay, so the letters are actually marked on the wall or something, are they, rather than actually being tiled or something?
They are marked.
Oh, what is it G? It's the G in judge.
Then there were other things they missed.
You've got 27 letters in that sequence.
Just don't know the.
I believe V.
And there's no C. Oh, no, block,
No,
sorry.
C block.
Yeah.
Yeah, the only thing we're missing is V.
Yeah. Okay, but obviously part of or have we found that we obviously Selenica
Is spellable by the letters there.
because there's two E's.
There are two E's.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but we must be able to spell the name with those little letters and no more than
As a dwarven construct, so what you know of the dwarves, they are not very forgiving. And they don't be very well. B is not a letter used in any of their names as far as you know, which I'm going to have a look up and see if this setting did it that way.
Unfortunately, it means that we can't spell Dolos. There's only one O. Because I was going to say, Dimitri's actually thinking about the closest towns to Dragontree, to go where the kids were, or where the Shadow Elves were, and Dolos is closest, but you can't go at two O's. Alley Book is way too many letters. You get Fenhold, that still books us. $11 hex is via the road away, which is obviously a good day's travel, presumably, or half a day's travel. So,
Yeah, so we've got two E's and two U's, if that's helpful.
yes. Dimitri suggests it's probably just as easy to go to Fenhold and make our way back to Dragontree and then see if we can get the kids. If not, then we can take the kids up to Elfheim Town and then come back to Fenhold to try and comfort. It'll be a few days total. Or he's more than happy for Gathros to continue experimenting with other options within the teleport, because he'll take notes.
Yeah, I'm happy with that.
You're happy to keep experimenting, or are you happy to go? We're happy to all go to Fenhold and try and get the kids.
Let's do
Go
Fenhold.
with the first suggestion.
Yep, happy with that.
Yeah, Dolos is a little hard to get to because it's got two O's.
That's right. Yes. Those dwarves didn't really think too carefully about their selection of words.
Well, there are a
or
couple
maybe the fact is we're missing the rest of the poem. So that's only one line of a dozen lines.
Yes, they may have other bits that have been removed or broken since then. Because it doesn't look as if the cells were part of the original design.
Okay. So, yeah, because from what we understand, so Mia and Bradshaw had disappeared effectively whilst we were in the keep, didn't they?
That is
Like, we
correct.
basically rested one evening or whatever, and they walked off in our corridor, and they didn't come back immediately. Is that right?
That is correct.
Okay. We will leave a note for them saying back within the week, and hopefully see you soon. And hey, I know, we'll carve it into the walls of the cells so we get more letters to work with.
Though the letters you see can only be seen by detect magic.
Okay.
So the letters you use are invisible unless you've got detect magic running.
Yep.
Which was the other trick.
Yeah, Dimitri can be doing that fairly easily, so.
As can most of the characters.
Yep.
That's why I said most. Okay. So you travel to... Oh, sorry, just moving myself so I don't get stuck. So you travel to the village of Fenhold.
Yep.
Though I was wondering if he was going to do the shove someone through a tree and see if you could bring them back.
If I had 2 uses of transport bioplants, I could go get them. I would, but like straining them for 24 hours is a little bit outside of Xandros's MO.
Yeah, I mean, let's face it, he's not even willing to borrow some random beggar off the street for 5 minutes.
Okay, so you teleport to Fenhold. As you pop in near the city, you can see a procession of 100 dwarves in full plate moving east along the road.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
I asked some of the bystanders what's going on.
Oh, there's no one near you as you pop into the area near Fenhold.
What time of day is it?
It is just after midday.
Okay. And are they still coming into Fenhold, or are they effectively going past us at that moment in time?
They're
or
just leaving Fenhold,
leaving?
and you're in the forests overlooking the village.
Okay. Well, it seems likely that they're returning back to Rockholm, in accordance with the King's orders. But I would suggest that we pop into the village and get a bite at the inn, and we may get news as to whether or not there's been stories of the elder children already being returned. So, and we might also get confirmation as to whether the dwarves actually gave any information as they marched through or past.
As you walk into town, you find the place strangely quiet.
Mm-hmm.
Are there still people around, or like abandoned sort of like?
You don't see anyone, and it sounds... it's very quiet here.
They all ran away and hid when the army of dwarves were coming through. So, well, I would suggest we, if it's middays at the moment, how long how long will it take to travel to Dragontree, or at least the head's just near Dragontree?
4 days.
Just while we're here, I think, well, yeah. If you'd like me to roll perception before I do this, that's okay. But this is kind of like a little unnerving for Xandros, so he's going to look around, and if he can't see anyone, like kind of ground level, he's going to wild shape into an eagle and try and get an idea of if there's anyone around or if it's just this particular area that's really quiet.
Okay. So
Distraction.
you wild shape into an eagle. Any particular colours to your eagle?
This eagle is a very kind of muted, foresty green, very similar to the shell coloration of Xandros, and not a Beast Boy reference.
I wouldn't care if it was a Beast Boy reference.
No, I was describing it like this is going to sound like a Beast Boy reference.
Yeah.
So, can I do a perception check?
You can do a perception check as you rise up into the air.
Ooh. 14?
You can see this really big column of dwarves moving east. And it looks as if about an hour ahead of them is another column. And about an hour behind them, another column.
Is it like a dwarven army, or is it like all the dwarven population?
The one who just passed through town bear the same emblems. The ones who are coming behind have a different emblem, and the one further ahead a third emblem.
Remembering that before we left Arakan, we were aware that the Dwarven King had effectively recalled all the dwarves from all over the world to return to Rocco, which was one of the reasons why it was odd that Bradshaw hadn't gone. That sort of process.
Except for being the kid, he wasn't required to return.
Yeah.
But if he turned an adult during the time the borders were closed, he might not have been welcomed back in.
Yeah. So in that sense, seeing clans of dwarves on the road on the march is not necessarily unexpected.
Not unexpected, just unusual, because it's not a common sight.
No, that's right. And certainly quite likely that the villagers in Fenhold have gone and hidden in the forest. Or, hey, can't trust them short folk. Especially when there's hundreds of them.
So Xandros is going to come down, land, and basically convey this to Trellin and Dimitri. That he's seeing at least 3 clans of dwarves all marching east.
Trellin recognises the emblem belonging to the dwarven royal architects that have been on loan to Darakan City for their preparations.
Because I have cartography skills.
And your character grew up in Darakan.
Woohoo!
Even though he's no longer a halfling, he still retains those memories.
That's right.
Hey, they got to become useful sometime.
Dimitri's suggesting, well, okay, if the dwarves are still coming and going through, then we've probably got no reason to expect the village folk to return anytime soon. So it's probably not worth waiting here for their return. I would suggest we get a good half day's march in. Or ride.
So you
Just
summon
because
your
I have
so does
extra.
go ahead.
Just because I have extra running ability.
Does Dimitri summon his imaginary horse?
Absolutely. I don't expect Dimitri to walk.
Okay, so
Although admittedly, looking at the companion rules in the downtime college type stuff, he might be going down that pathway in the future. But for the time being, yeah, we'll go with the illusionary horse.
so how does our druid travel? Considering he's used up one of his wild shapes.
Yeah. So we've got.
Phantom speed.
No, oh, hang on. Did I have? I don't think I took any traversal for this. No, I didn't. It's a good
We're
question.
coming back this way, so if you want to borrow a horse from the village, I'm sure it'll be fine.
Yeah, I think I might have to borrow a horse. With what gold? That's a really good question. Actually,
am
are
I
there any
hearing-
horses lying around? The place seems empty. So
Am I
probably
hearing
borrow.
stealing a horse at this point? Because you can't really borrow something if you don't ask.
Xandros in a example of his perfect, and there's definitely no issues with this moral compass. Does anyone object to me taking this horse?
You look around.
Therefore,
there are no horses.
Don't.
pardon?
You look around. You don't hear any horses. So no one. You don't think there's any objections to you taking your own imaginary horse if Dimitri provides it.
Mm. Dimitri, do you have another imaginary horse?
I was just checking. I think I do, in fact.
Just try not to disbelieve your steed, otherwise you might have a tumble.
Mm. No, Xandros has great belief in things beyond his purview and beyond comprehension. He has studied stars.
No, sorry, can't do it. Oh, actually, no, because ritual technically can cast multiple times, can't he?
You can.
Yeah.
And you've gotten that
Yeah.
ability to cast rituals quicker.
Yeah.
So in 3 minutes you can give everyone a imaginary horse.
Would do. Oh no, yeah, duration, so yeah. Because yes, I was going to say, no, he can't do it because technically it only lasts an hour, so therefore he's got to cast it a few times to get there each day type stuff. But yes, technically he can do it as a ritual, so he can call up multiple steeds. And in fact, yes, he will go for 3. He'll encourage Krellin to ride, whereas these are fast horses.
So because Dimitri's doing it, describe the horse you give each of them. Or the steed, I should say, you give each of them.
Well, obviously the Turtles appears to be a small but sturdy mule.
I can work with that.
Sorry?
I said I can work with that.
Yeah, it works out well, because technically it doesn't change the fact that it still moves at 100-foot movement. So.
And so you see this nice mule appear before you with its hair blowing in a breeze that's not happening.
And I had a sudden thought maybe Krellin deserves actually a very small pony because he's a halfling. Oh no, sorry, that's right. his feet to ankle on the ground the whole way to get them up. So, no. So, Trellin obviously will get a beautiful elven steed, or appearance of an elven steed, or the interpretation of a human thinking what an elven steed would look like in the classic tales. Obviously, speaking of
Right.
it should look like.
So, give me a performance roll for Dimitri to see how well he pulls that one off.
Okay. Oh, rolled a 3 off the start. Actually, a great one. Performance. 4.
Okay, so you see a monstrosity of a creature appear before Trellin. From a certain point of view, it probably looks pretty, but everything about it's wrong, from its movement to the way you sit on it.
Does it move fast?
Oh, it moves perfectly normally like every other phantom steed. It's just an eyesore.
Okay.
That's how Dimitri imagines elves travel.
It's how Dimitri interprets the traditional beliefs on how elves travel. He's certainly seen how elves travel, so.
Well, elves
But that
with
wasn't what he was
steeds.
aiming for anyway.
And describe Dimitri's steed.
Dimitri has his standard, apparently fairly nondescript, but sturdy workhorse type quarter horse type stuff.
So Dimitri's steed that appears before him resembles Drazzle's, without the freakish nature.
Yep, exactly. Obviously, it wouldn't be identical thing, because hey, that would be weird. But,
Well, Drazzle's not here at the moment, so hard to tell if it is.
But I mean, it's also sort of thing that Dimitri's steed normally looks fairly similar. Like he's got his standard steed that you call up for his purposes.
And as you all sit on your steeds, it feels like you're sitting on a park bench.
Good thing.
And then as it takes off, you don't feel as if you're moving. It's almost as if the land underneath you is rolling away.
It's good.
And everyone who's not riding the elven steed sees what looks almost like squid legs moving across the land under the elf. Whereas the mule is just standing there, non-moving, as it's going across the land. Compared to the draft horse that he's just stomping away as if he's doing a casual stroll while moving the equivalent of 100 steps per stomp.
Yeah. And I mean, okay, using this system, it means that we can effectively do, well, in theory, a hex to a hex and a half every hour, but it does require stopping to redo the ritual each hour too. So I'm figuring that we probably count on a hex an hour.
That puts you
We might almost reach Alleybook this evening.
6 hours to reach Ellybrook, which is not bad. As you're zooming along, so you while you're on the steeds, you treat all terrain as if they're roads. Because not affected by terrain.
Lovely.
I believe that's one of your benefits, isn't it, Jeremy?
It doesn't specify whether it actually runs on the terrain or not. But so if it appears on the ground, so presumably the base version would still go along. But hey, we are going along the road, so and presumably, except the way it says the fact that the speed is 100 foot. Hey, it must be treating everything a road effectively.
That's what I was thinking.
So,
And you fly past many columns of dwarves on the way.
Is there anything special about the dwarves as we saw past them, or they're all just, lines and lines?
they're moving
of
really fast in the other direction.
Well, hard to tell if there's anything special. By the time you focus on them, you're already past them.
That's right.
So the dwarves are moving about 10 feet around, and you're moving 100 feet around. You can pretty much clear the column in one go. And so at sunset, you arrive in Alleybrook. Making sure I note down the dates correctly.
I mean, and it's important we do this because, hey, we said it, we left the message came back within the week, so it's lucky it wasn't taking us 4 days each way.
And as you arrive in the town, you arrive just before they start to shut gates over the road for the night.
Timed it neatly.
Well, Dimitri was never one to be wasteful.
Sorry?
Dimitri was never one to be wasteful.
No, that's right. And I'm just imagining the idea of the spell ends gradually giving you a minute to dismount. So it's the idea that a bit like the Captain Jack arriving at the dock. Basically, we'll speed up to the gate, and then just as we're getting there, slows down, horse gradually disappears, and you start walking.
Okay, coming inside, you can hear lots of chatter of people. Seems that the residents of Fenhold have evacuated to Alleybrook due to disturbances in the region.
Aside from dwarves.
Well, besides the dwarves, there are many things disturbing the woods.
Okay. I don't suppose any of those disturbances were random reappearance of young elves.
They talk about how most people who are caught out in the open at night end up with arrows or bolts in them. They believe there's a influx of banditry in the region.
Bolts wouldn't be an elf thing.
We can fix that.
They're less likely to be elf things, and not likely to be shadow elf things either. If the shadow elves, having been released by the blood elves, are suddenly deciding, hey, it's time to expand.
And so one night they say the village of Fenhold was overrun by something that murdered a bunch of its guardsmen and left everyone defenseless.
And how long ago was this?
They say 2 days ago.
We just left. Why? I wouldn't have had time. I forgot to become best friends with a tree.
Alleybrook has had no such disturbances?
Alleybrook has a fence.
But what about people going out into the woods or things like that, like woodchoppers and stuff? Have they been having any issues or concerns?
They have not had anyone heading out into the woods because it's contested lands. The borderlands aren't a safe period for wood chopping, and the main wood areas are further on past Farstead.
Okay, yeah. What about like local hunters or things like that going down to the hills?
No, heading into the hills, there's been issues with orcs and goblins in the Croth Mountain range to the south.
Yeah. But it's more than usual?
Normally, the militia patrols the road, but the militia's been tied up dealing with the master.
Uh-huh.
The master.
Master.
Yeah, the big war that was going off in the east that we've already been involved in. And, we managed to push him back for a little while, but obviously Garrick had pulled in all the forces it possibly could in that war, and they haven't necessarily been returned as yet because, hey, I don't know the master's not definitely moving forward.
Do we know vaguely where, like, do they know where the bandits and orcs and stuff are coming from, or is it just that there's been kind of raiding parties?
Raiding parties is all they can tell you. They've not seen them. They've just found bodies and weapons.
How long have the dwarves been marching through?
They've been marching through non-stop for the last month.
And even with the presence of all these dwarves on the road, there's still banditry activity just off the side of the roads.
Well, the dwarves don't interfere in the affairs of other nations anymore, they say.
I'd still be surprised if I was even a large weekend group that you wouldn't necessarily want to be operating too near bands of dwarves just in case they decide, hang on, yep, we're not interfering, but you're interfering with us because you're too close.
But you're in our way, we're heading home, we need to go through where you're standing. Here, hold my hammer, just the pointy end.
So it's interesting that it's gone through. So
the locals don't think much of the dwarves because they expect the dwarves to help, not abandon them.
Unfortunately, the world is all a bit topsy-turvy at the present time. I don't suppose there's been any reports of extra elves in the area.
The only reports on elves they are getting is the talk that the elves may be quitting the field and leaving the region forever.
Leave it open for the traditional Trondhalans again.
If they survive, they say, because most of them are Troldaran by birth, and without the elves backing it, how are we going to stand up against the master? They say.
We'll beat the master back. Don't worry about that. Seemingly the more immediate concern, maybe this renewed or increased banditry activity in the area.
And there's also reports that the forest is starting to die. There's been no new growth this season.
How close is the forest?
From Allybrook, the forest is within a few miles of the town. They've cleared the area around it because, well, elves tend to assault this road out of mischievousness or holding a grudge. No one really knows.
Yes, the idea being that, yes, whilst theoretically the border of Elfheim is at least a dozen or more miles north of the road around this area, the elves, because they're still treed, the elves probably come a closer. Have you talking to the Fenholdens, who maybe I'm assuming we've effectively got rooms at a tavern type stuff, and we're in the common room discussing and talking to the locals.
Yep, you have no problems with that.
Which seemingly includes both Fenholdens and Allybrook.
It does.
When the Fenholdens talk about the idea of, oh yes, the guys are filled with arrows and bolts and things like that. Is there anything interesting about their construction or unusual, or do they appear to be fairly like the things that would be available to Darrakanese anywhere?
From what they can tell, is most of the stuff that has been found on the dead, they were able to identify as Darrakan made, but no one remembers crafting them in the region.
And the
Are
bodies
they
of otherwise
recent?
stripped of belongings?
What was that, Angus?
Oh, I was saying, are they like recently made, or could they have been like made a long time ago?
They say you probably have a sharp eye there because they're made in the style that they make them now, but no one remembers making them. And they're from this region.
Interesting.
The reason they say that is the fletching and the twine generally only comes from within about 50 miles of where they are.
So it could be a parallel dimension or something.
It could be, or it could simply be a cache of old weaponry.
Yeah.
And the bodies otherwise stripped bare, like they're obviously thieving and stealing?
That's what they find odd. None of the bodies seem to have anything taken from them.
And it's probably not bandits. Something else. I've never known a bandit not to take coin.
But no animals have been found off the travellers. So
What if it's not someone taking them, but something?
The bodies
It
have
leaves material possessions, but takes livestock and.
well anything that they had on the livestock.
Crossbows.
Anything that they had on the livestock would have gone as well, such as saddles, saddlebags, and all that. But the travellers had pouches, weaponry, gear on them.
So possibly they were looking to gain extra transportation capability without necessarily laying themselves down with additional equipment.
Or they couldn't be, or they didn't feel the need to strip the dead. There are some cultures that will not touch the dead. Troldarans are not amongst those.
Sorry?
The Troldarans and bandits that are Troldaran descent will happily strip the dead. But there are certain cultures that will not touch it. They just don't know any in particular. Each of you can make a culture check. See if you know.
None in the local area that would have those sorts of taboos.
You can give me a culture check and let me know.
No, there's none in the local area with those sort of taboos. Where are we? Culture.
So, as culture is one of the skills, you can either use intelligence or wisdom to make a roll for Trallin or Xandros.
Dimitri would give a 12 downgraded.
Well, before the others roll, what does Dimitri tell them he knows of what culture would do this?
As I said, yes, obviously there are other cultures that had that kind of taboo, but none in this area, none within the vicinities of here. And of course, it certainly, if you're talking actual bandits, often they may not necessarily follow the taboos of that particular culture they've come from, because hey, they're outlaws.
So is that the complete information?
That's what he got. Now you can each make a roll if you'd like to.
Yeah.
How much more complete can you get?
Culture, did you say so? Wisdom or intelligence?
Yep.
What was it?
Wisdom or intelligence will work.
Okay. Ooh. That's a nat one.
So what? So you got the same thing Dimitri did. What do you think it was?
No, it's a 3, so
Yeah, Zadris is just going to like
6.
kind of look and just kind of mutter under his breath. Humans are weird. All you humans are the same to me.
Okay. What did Trellin get? Did Trellin get a whole 4?
Oh, 6.
6. Okay, so between the three of you, you're perfectly happy with the fact no one in the region would be doing this, so they must be lying somehow.
Oh, no, not that the locals are lying, just that the idea that it could be someone of that taboo is obviously incorrect. But yeah, obviously, so the Allied books, they haven't been having this trouble with bandits directly, have they? Nearby,
They have
they
not.
haven't been fighting bodies filled with bolts and arrows.
They have not, but also they have a city wall that surrounds them.
Yeah, and they said that they've avoided people going out into the forest or the hills as much as possible anyway. So,
They also have a large population of halflings.
well, fear not. Dimitri and Co. will soon return to Fenhold, and we will investigate the situation when we get back.
Dimitri and Co.
At least it wasn't Dimitri and minions.
Touche.
And believe me, that has been said a few times.
Or let's face it, realistically, I probably should have said, fear not, Dimitri will return there shortly.
It was a step up that he said Co.
That's right.
You know what? That's a good point. We're making progress.
You earned yourself in the same name as him, so that's very rare for Dimitri.
Mm.
He didn't specify who was Co.
Ooh.
Privately, he was talking about his multiple bags of holding, but hey, don't worry about that. But as I say, it's been a long day already. It's time for me to retire. Okay. So Dimitri's going to be going to bed, but the others, you're certainly welcome to stay up and talk or chat and actually find out information if you want to.
Dimitri finds he got the last bed in the place. He forgot to mention it to the others.
Well, there's the other reason why Dimitri was not volunteering to go to bed first.
Mm. Bold of you to assume that Zadros needs a bed.
I don't know, the fact that Dimitri didn't actually recognise that, oh, hang on, technically there's more than one of us here.
We made progress with
That's
Dimitri.
Dimitri
But
way.
we're not all the way to, I should think about someone else.
He does. Dimitri always thinks about himself, and his other personalities.
And actually, there are a few other people that's directly on his mind, like his ancestors, Halav, and another one further back that he prefers not to name.
Mainly because if he does, that person may just show up. And they're definitely a pain in the neck.
Mm.
So for me, I only need 4 hours of light sleep.
Well, as a trance, you can just sit in a corner and just stare into nothingness and be perfectly content.
Mm.
You could even...
Zadros does need 8 hours of sleep. However...
They're quite. But exactly, well, the idea of do you want to talk anymore with any of the locals to look for more information is the important part.
Yeah. I think Zadris is going to like kind of try and get a better idea of what exactly we're dealing with. Ask if any of the people had like taken any of like the arrows or bolts or anything that they had found.
So the person who you're talking to after Dimitri went to bed has this entire tale about how the demons of the underworld are coming to claim the wicked.
Fruitful conversation.
Is just gonna like pause for a second and just walk away.
Well, no, the amusing thing I was thinking of there was the fact that, yeah, after Dimitri goes away and therefore allows someone else actually has the chance to speak, she'll probably get some more information. But apparently not.
Is gonna try. Zadris is gonna try the same thing on someone else. Has anyone got one of the arrows or bolts?
One of them says, "I do."
Yeah,
Alright,
get out of my ribs.
Can I have a look at it?
He points to his arm.
Is it in the arm?
It is.
Embedded in his arm.
It is, and someone magically healed it there.
Oh. Yikes.
What? With the outside the body?
The arrows inside the body healed in place.
Okay. You could pull the arrow out, which obviously causes physical pain and wounds, and you could attempt to actually heal it again, but hey, that's your choice. But hey, realistically, you probably the point could be XP as well, not just deflection.
Not that I do it, but just for comedy's sake, I open my spells and the first thing I see is produce flame. So maybe I just torch the guy's arm.
No, just
I'm going
just
to
pull the arrow
inspect-
out and then cauterize the wound.
I'm just going to inspect the arrow, see what I can kind of discern about it while it is still. Is it like all the way through and it's just like the shaft is inside his arm and the tip is and fletching are out, or is it that only the fletching is out and the
Give me a medicine check.
still... Pardon?
Give me a medicine check. That determines how much you actually understand about what's happened to him.
Alright. Obviously, alright. Ooh, that's a 9.
He's got an arrow in his arm.
That looked painful.
Ooh.
Well, apparently it's not.
Sucks to be him.
Yeah.
You just see one end of the arrow sticking out of his arm. You don't see the other end.
Okay.
So what you actually
Can I have a
see
look at the
is
fletching on the arrow?
He's reinforced his tibia and fibia.
Let's have a look at the fletching then. I'm going to assume that fletching is the end that's sticking out.
It is the end that's sticking out. Looking at it, give me an investigation roll.
That is a nat 20 for a total of 22.
Okay.
Yep, it's definitely an arrow.
Looking at it, this arrow is a replica of an arrow that was created via magic.
A replica of an arrow created via magic. As in the replica was created via magic, or it's a replica of an arrow that was made with magic?
The arrow that it was, the arrow in his arm is a magical creation made to resemble an arrow.
Which is why it looks like it's made of Derek manufacturer, but no one remembers actually going through making that stuff, making that particular batch.
I don't know how Zayd would know like what would be able to create a magical arrow, not necessarily a magical arrow, but a magic in the shape of an arrow.
Which means that whatever process they use to create it means it can hit creatures as if it's a magical weapon.
See, I'd really like to observe this a little bit better, but it's still stuck in the guy's arm.
You can fix that.
I can fix that.
You've got heal, haven't you?
And it is late at night, so I could probably assume that I'd be getting in
No.
my spells back. The question is whether I cut it out with my claws or just yank it out. And I'm trying to think what's more
Give me another medicine check.
humane. Alright.
I was going to say, just get your claw
Oh,
and
that's a
put a
bit
nice long scut all the way down his forearm.
Medicine. 18. That's better this
Okay. The way it's gone into his arm, you believe it's embedded in the bone.
time. Oh, that's not going to be easy to rip out. Okay.
Though, if you pull it hard enough, you'll take the bone with it.
That's not what I want. Oh.
It'd be very disarming, you think?
Nice. We also can't just like leave it. This is more like actually just like a flavor question. If it's healed into the arm, would it still be at risk of causing an infection, or would it just now be like this is bonded to the bone in my arm?
There is a possibility it can. You're not quite sure why someone healed it while it was in there.
Did someone heal? And Xandros is gonna like turn and just kind of look at the guy. Did someone heal this while it was in you, or did it heal itself?
Well, one of the priests did called upon the power of the great god Asterius to heal those in need, and then I felt better, but arrow was stuck.
So it got left in there for expediency's sake.
You think it was a mass heal, and the person doing it didn't check to make sure all the wounds were cleared first.
Do I have anything to put this guy to sleep?
You do.
In which case,
You've got plenty of weapons.
I meant magically sleep, but you know what? Trellin, could you just he kind of gestures for Trellin to come over and whispers, I need you to knock this guy out. Just like bonk straight out, and then we're gonna cut that arrow out of his arm.
Want me to bonk him?
I could whack him over the head if I need to, but I thought you might want to.
Not sure about that, but
Okay, well, if you don't feel like bonking him over the head, I'll bonk him on the head, and then you can cut the arrow out of his arm, because that's helping him get rid of the arrow.
yes. Yeah, I'm happy with that.
You hear a mumbling coming from the guy going, are you talking about bonking the elf?
Zadris is just kind of going to like laugh to himself, and then whack the guy over the head with his Staff of the Woodlands, trying to knock him out.
Okay, so give me an attack roll, because that's always one of those starting points.
Dirty 20.
A dirty 20. You strike him quite well on the top of the head, and there's a sound like a thunderbolt going off, waking up the entire inn.
Not
Sorry. Is he unconscious?
He's not moving.
Hard to tell. The plants growing out of him sort of say he's probably alive, but you're not sure he's human anymore.
Oh. Well, you know what? If he's not human anymore and he's a plant, I could probably just fix him really easily with nature magic. Charlie, can you cut the arrow, rip the arrow out? It's entirely up to you. I'll fix it later.
Yeah, I'll rip it out.
As you go to reach for it, you got a lot of people in the room looking at you, having woken up the common room.
We're helping him.
A few people are screaming at the horrific deed done in their common room. Does Trellin still pull the arrow out?
Well, in the long run, it's going to be to his benefit.
Okay, so you grab the arrow and pull, and you can see blood start gushing out of that area as bits of bone are stuck to the end of the arrow.
Okay, I hope you've got a plan B.
On the bright side, it's bone, not wood, so that's probably a good thing.
And as you watch, the bleeding area starts to have buds start coming out of the wound.
We may need to hurry this up. I don't know how long magical healing is going to work on something that's not necessarily sentient anymore. I can fix the plant, it's just I can't fix this middle stage.
Well, I don't think Trollin's trying to cast any healing spells at the moment, so...
So is it out?
Either.
Yes, the arrow is out.
Alright, then let's jump in with a... I still have the use of Wild Shape. So, I am going to... Actually, let's go with a little, I don't know what I'll do. Let's go Chalice form. I go from green to blue, and speak, I am sorry for this, and kind of lay my hands against him, and let's cast Healing Word.
Okay, so as you feel your magic go through him, you see leaves sprout from all his limbs as he seems to have his form fully healed.
Well, he doesn't have the arrow anymore. This is
How long will that last?
That is a really good question. Let's have a look at this arrow.
and he thinks that Dimitri's cold.
I'm not cold. I saved him from this arrow. I fixed it. Who doesn't want to be more in tune with nature?
Half the room takes a step back. You notice the other half didn't step back because they couldn't go any further.
Alright, let's... So is the man any more injured? Or is he just sprouting some leaves and...
Well, he's a nice pop plant, humanoid shaped.
Description. Pop plant humanoid shaped. Task at hand. Let's have a look at this arrow.
Okay.
Deal with that later.
Yeah, apparently there's no more patients lining up for healing.
Oh, hang on. Is the priest by any chance in the inn?
No, he's out tending to the injured and ill.
But in that case, I'm going to make a nice, lovely speech to, in the style of a 1990s drug PSA. And that's why you always make sure the things are out of your body before you magic heal them.
Because otherwise you've got to be a plan.
Alright, I'm going to inspect this arrow more closely now that I've got it free from the arm of the...
Now that you've removed the extraneous stuff that was getting in the way of your examination.
You do notice the arrow has a rather viciously barbed head.
Yeah.
It is a weapon designed to slay humanoids, not beasts, because of the way the head sits. So the arrow is horizontal. The arrowhead is horizontal instead of vertical.
Interesting.
Most animal weapons are designed to go through the ribs, and because the arrow doesn't spin, the head is generally up and down instead of left to right.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas arrows designed to kill people, left to right, so they'll go through the ribs instead of get caught on the ribs.
I'm going to kind of turn and convey that to Trellin, who's here, because Dimitri has retired himself for the evening. These are
Perfectly reasonable.
killing arrows. They're people. They're for killing people. They're not a tool. They're simply
They're a weapon of war.
they are a weapon of war.
I remember they were still based upon American design.
Is there anything I can now tell about the magical properties of it, now that I've got it free from its fleshy container?
Do you use detect magic?
Let's use... I actually don't have detect magic. No, I don't have detect magic.
You
Go for the vibe.
could potentially have the ritual detect magic.
Uh,
You should have a bunch of rituals we'll work out later. Just write down you have the ritual detect magic.
Yeah. Let's
if you cast
ritualize.
magic, then you have detect magic for ritual.
Yeah, let's. I've got that in my notes now. Ritual detect magic.
Mm-hmm.
Do I need to roll or anything for that?
No, you don't. Well, not normally you do, but it's basically no real risk of interruption while you're doing it. Everyone's too afraid to make a noise. So as you cast your ritual, you see a rune glow faintly on the head of the arrow.
Well, first of all, do I recognize it?
You do not recognize the rune.
Do I have any indication of the language it could be in? Or is it just someone's thrown it out? Am I at the level where it's just, oh, this is a squiggly shape?
Looking at it, as you glance at it, you feel your magic get drawn into the arrow and your detect magic drops.
Could I reason that it's an anti-magic arrow?
You don't think it's an anti-magic arrow. You think it's an
Okay.
amplification arrow.
Amplification arrow. Interesting.
It amplifies magic cast on the subject.
And the healing job he got was really good, and so was the plant transformation.
That's why the plant transformation is that the primal magic within my staff, when I hit him over the head, it amplified the inherent.
Or it sucked a spell out of your staff and cast it on him.
Pardon?
You may have sucked a spell out of your staff and cast it on him.
Are there any others who have been afflicted with arrows such as this?
Everyone's standing back
I
with their arms
yell
behind
out.
their back,
I just yell out.
or hiding.
Is anyone conveniently hiding their arms or legs behind them?
A few people say, "I'll get back to you," and leave the inn.
Okay.
Hey, there's beds available now.
Always an upside.
And not long after making your announcement, you find that's only you and Trellin in the common room. Apparently, you've got a room to yourself.
I'll just go in a corner.
Oh yeah, there's also
That's
still
just
the
my
tree.
elven ability.
The man tree has not left.
There's still a pot plant.
Though you do realise you've never tasted leaf of man before.
Much better than lettuce.
I'm sure you wouldn't want to realise you've grown a addiction to eating the leaves of people you've plantized.
Yeah, probably not.
But they're so tasty.
full of nutrients.
Surely just one more bite won't matter.
And very sustainable.
It's a growth industry, they say.
If you ask nicely, you can even consider them vegan.
Yes. No people were harmed in the producing of these leaves. Because they weren't people anymore.
You can make plant man tea.
Okay, so you end up having a rather quiet night contemplating the arrow and what it means. How long do you spend studying the arrow?
Roughly how long are we staying? Because I would like to get a full long rest. So,
not long then. You curl up in the common room after that.
Yeah, I'm take one of those.
I'm happy to
beds
study
that
it.
are recently vacated.
For the other 4 hours.
So, upon waking, Dimitri, you come downstairs to see Trellin pondering an arrow. Trellin gets to make a Arcana check.
How'd you go, Martin?
Not that well. 7.
Okay, it's an arrow, you say.
After 4 hours, it's still just an arrow.
You wanted to make sure.
You definitely gave him elven look.
Because I've got survival, but obviously it's not.
Oh no, because this is a magical effect.
So, Dimitri comes down after hearing Trellin, as he's coming down the stairs, he hears Trellin announcing, "It's definitely an arrow."
Okay. And it's a magical arrow, so maybe you'll have better luck.
Dimitri vaguely notices that the common room seems a bit more empty than he expected it to be at this time of the morning.
So you also see a new plant flowering in the middle of the room.
Mm-hmm. So,
I see Grody.
You're
Oh no, he had flowers come out overnight. So go, Jeremy.
I think he's more free than he was yesterday.
Dimitri's happy to help and provide Trellin in providing advice and information about something that's obviously been bothering him all night. He'll have a look at the arrow and probably realise that, oh, yes, actually, this arrow does have something slightly odd to it. And he'll probably try and detect magic and presumably have that detect get sucked into the effect. But
he does feel the detect magic get drained into the arrow.
But in the meantime, oh, that's not a bad roll. 29 Arcana check.
Okay, from what you understand is this arrow bears a rune designed to target the living and inflict any spell cast on them.
Oh, is it like the spell, the arrow will hold a spell that can then be activated when the arrow hits you, mean?
Oh no, you can actually cast the spell after the arrow hits. It extends the range of spells.
Oh, okay, so you can actually effectively shoot the arrow and then cast it later to... So,
It requires
Yeah.
attunement that he realizes that someone would be attuned to this arrow and can still cast spells through the arrow, including things like Fireball, you believe.
Yep.
Mm.
Of course, Dimitri looks at it and says, it's time to pick a pulse.
But it can
Dimitri will
trigger.
explain the power of the arrow, and that yes, it's certainly potentially got its uses.
Would you
If
say
you mind
there's
it-
been... There you go.
And the symbology of it is using giant sigils. So the rune on it is a giant rune.
Martin, would it be long enough for Zadris to have got a full long rest?
It is long enough for you to have had a full long rest. You pop out of your shell.
Yeah, I pop out of my shell, a little bit like a Trooper.
It's not like Dimitri was trying to get up early.
Is going to wander over and hear Dimitri explain what it does and request it. I think the arrow would be of great use to me.
And so, where did it come from?
Out of the arm. Or not. Whatever.
Yeah,
Whatever you want to say.
Plant Man.
Plant Man.
Plant Man.
Plant Man gave you this arrow? You mean to tree it?
Well, gave is a very strong word. The arrow was obtained from the man, and as a reward, he became a plant. Put that on a t-shirt.
I went to town and turned a man into a plant. And all I got was this t-shirt.
But yes, the arrow would be of great use to Zadros. In part because also one of my Starry forms is explicitly an archer who would actually be kind of thematic to shoot an arrow.
Dimitri certainly has no concerns with tossing the arrow. Like his immediate thought was to go to Krellin, but then realised Krellin doesn't actually cast much in the way of spells, so but yeah. Dimitri uses crossbow rather than the bow, so
Alright.
yeah, but yeah, so it certainly could be a useful thing, but is breakfast happening?
The inn is deserted except for you three.
Something happened? Did we miss something? It was crowded here last night, particularly with all the extra refugees.
The townsfolk didn't love my live demonstration of how to be a tree.
Are you saying you made the tree man?
Well, no, the arrow made the tree man. I just hit him with my staff. It was the arrow's fault. He's still a tree.
Asking someone to come here for 5 minutes to test the theory is abhorrent, but now you trap someone in the form of a tree.
He is not trapped as a tree. He has legs. He can still move in the form of a tree.
Looking
Also,
at him,
I was trying to help him. I was trying to get rid
Doesn't
of that
look that
arrow.
mobile.
you can see his legs have rooted into the floor.
So Dimitri was just really quick, so he doesn't look that mobile.
He had legs when I went to sleep.
Yeah. I would suggest we be off.
Yeah, I'm not too keen on what happens in a few hours when people realise he's not going to be a man tree for very long. He's just going to be a tree.
I suspect
Alright,
they
have you
already
got those
realised that.
3 Phantom Steeds ready?
I can get them ready fairly quickly.
Cool.
So is Dimitri still holding the arrow?
No, Dimitri was happy to give the arrow to Davros. But yeah, because obviously Dimitri's already done all his morning preparations, because he does that before he came down from, hey, sleep in. And we'll be off at the crack of mid-morning.
Well, he did miss breakfast after all, so he's out of sorts. So while Xandros is, what does Xandros do with the arrow?
I'm going to slip it into my belt, almost carry it at my side in a way similar to where you would a dagger.
Okay, as you slip it into your waistband, give me a Constitution saving throw.
Oh, I'm really good at these. So. And now that I've said that, it'll be really low.
Besides, he's safe, he's not a man.
Oh.
What's the worst that could happen?
23.
Okay, so as you look, you see our Tortle's face start to get a little furry. 2 main teeth start to show, a couple of ears start to spread out of his head, and then roll backwards until he's back to being a turtle again.
Well, I'm guessing that was probably something that Dimitri had gone outside to start doing the ritual for the horses, so he's happy he saw nothing.
Trellin saw it though.
Perfectly fine.
It looked like your friend Xandros went a bit rabbit for a little while.
That's just fine. That's the game.
He's seen the tortoise transform into lots of things.
But I've only met him today. That's fine.
No, they've been travelling with him for a while.
We've known him for at least 3 to 4 days now.
Alright, it's plenty of time to build a bond.
We first met him when we were still at Dragontree, getting the rescuing the Shadow Elf from the Blood Elves.
Okay.
And then he came with us when with the dwarf Mia, who allowed us to travel very rapidly across country while standing still. So you've had time to chat, and you've seen him transform a few times.
Though Xandros does notice that he starts to change shape, but manages to will it away.
How odd. Oh, got it under control. He's just gonna like wander out like nothing happened.
So you do feel extra hungry. Do you stop by to grab a bite on your way out?
I'd like to, if there's like a market stall, especially someone who was definitely in the inn last night and saw me.
There's lovely fresh leaves right nearby.
And flowers too.
Yeah, you mentioned it. Xandros is gonna like stop as he walks past the tree, look at it, make sure no one's looking, and then like grab a handful of leaves and flowers just for curiosity. It's like, oh, what kind of tree or like plant have I actually turned this guy into? Is just gonna like bite down on one of the leaves and just kind of like gnaw on it.
As you bite down and gnaw on the leaves, you get a very metallic taste in your mouth.
He's going to, make sure no one's looking and then just spit it out.
The insides of the leaves is red.
Noted. He's just going to keep walking.
New corks to be too cold. I'm feeling.
Yes, you step outside and you see that there is a lynch mob out there.
Well, I can't exactly say that this was unexpected.
And you see a bunch of halflings. You see a bunch of halflings with cooking implements, all sharpened.
I mean,
Demetriel,
the turnout is impressive, if nothing else.
Demetriel got, like I say, basically, after he's got the ritual completed, because probably hasn't really noticed until he's got that done, he'll then look up and say, yes, good to see you're preparing yourselves in case those raiders return or arrive here in Allybrook. Be alert, but back soon.
One of the halflings steps forward and says, we want the turtle. Mispronouncing turtle.
This is, well, I can't say that I'm surprised by this at all. And what would you like me for? Are they more in need of healing? Are there more arrows embedded in arms?
He grins and says, turtle soup.
How close is this particular halfling
about
to me? And
about 20 feet away from you.
Pardon?
About 20 feet away from you.
20 feet, and they're all kind of together, clustered together.
The rest of them are within about 30 feet of him, so fairly clustered.
Okay. I'm trying to decide how much if I just like, alright, drop a smoke bomb and run. I'm gonna go with this. What's the casting time for that? Well, I know what I'm gonna do. And so the closest halfling is 20 feet away from me.
He is, yes.
Okay. Perfect. I am going to cast. Hey, is that a? Oh, that's a radius, not a diameter. Ugh. No, that's not a good idea. In that case, I am going to ignite one of my hands in a produced flame and just strongly recommend that turtle soup not be on today's menu.
Okay, as you do that, he goes into a what appears to be some sort of fighter stance that Trellin is impressed by.
What way?
As in the fact that he's obviously very proficient.
He shows a lot of skill in movement, training that you still haven't caught up with.
Right.
Hmm. me
I'm not certain
do
there's,
some quick
there's any
Googling.
turtles this far inland. But,
You also see he has a couple of pirate tattoos on his arms.
So I can run on water. Just saying.
I can fly. Like I'm not just wild shape out, but I have a form that just straight up allows me to fly.
Even you have heard of the prowess of the halfling pirates.
Okay, Dimitri's basically talking about things. I don't think there's any turtles this far inland, so turtle soup might be a bit difficult to get hold of, but okay. Happy hunting, we'll be on our way.
Okay, so you get on your horse?
Yep.
Okay, so you see one of the horses zip out of sight.
No, okay, I will give the others time to get on their horses thinking... Okay.
Yeah, I think mounting...
Dimitri's happy to be apparently oblivious to the thought processes, but hey.
I think mounting my horse and getting out of
therefore
there is
provide
a
a
good idea.
distraction.
Does Trellin also jump on a horse?
I will too.
Okay, so the three of you manage to jump on the horse and have the horses moving before the guy realizes what you're doing. As you're out the front gate before he can change his movement.
Well, that was close. Consequence has nearly caught up with me.
Well, Trellin does know that some weapon masters can redirect magic to other targets.
After a couple hours, like a couple of weeks, when we stop for the second ritual type stuff, Dimitri will inquire and say, exactly what actually happened last night. The townsfolk appeared quite happy with our presence. I guess not surprisingly, after I went to bed, you allowed things to go.
We wanted to have a closer look at the arrow, and it turned out the arrow was in the person, so
well,
yes,
things continued from there.
So, someone, probably a priest, had healed the arrow into this guy's arm. I needed to see the arrow, so I thought, I don't want to put this man through the pain of ripping an arrow out of his arm. So my plan was, put him to sleep for a little bit, take the arrow out, heal him before he wakes up, no problem. What I didn't know was that the arrow was an amplification arrow, so when I hit him with my magic forest nature imbued staff, it absorbed a spell from the staff and turned the man into a tree.
Were you kidding with your staff, or were you trying to kill him?
No, I was just trying to knock him out. And you see, well, Trellin didn't want to be the one to knock out the guy, but was more than happy to cut the arrow out of his arm. So I said, okay, fine, I'll be the one to hit him over the head with the stick.
And he agreed with all this?
Well, the unfortunate part is that my only non-bladed weapon was Rheddrians' quarterstaff. So I was a bit worried about it smacking him. But it turned out that the staff of Woodland was just as aggressive.
Wouldn't it be just as easy to give him a stick to chomp on while you cut it open?
Well, you say that, but also, like, looking at how much damage it did trying to, like, take the arrow out, which, Trellin, I told you to cut it out. Like, I assumed that it was barbed, so I did say cut the arrow out, but that's neither here nor there. It was barbed in such a way that I think we would have done so much inflicted so much pain upon him that he would have wished to have been dead.
So you turn him into a tree instead.
I didn't mean to turn him into a tree.
Oh, why didn't you cancel the magic?
Because I was preoccupied at healing the wound. I assumed that any treeification would be undone once the arrow was removed.
But it was your staff that turned into a tree, not the arrow.
Well, the only reason the staff turned him into a tree was because of the arrow amplifying the nature magic.
Leave you alone for minutes. Guess I can only blame myself.
You've done so much worse, Dimitri.
What do you mean?
And just to be clear, I also showed a great deal of restraint when I didn't burn down their village or impale them all on spikes as we left.
because they were
optioned.
They were going to kill me. They wanted to kill me and cook my bones.
After you killed one of them and eaten him.
I didn't kill him, and I didn't. Okay, fine. I did. Well, I didn't necessarily eat him. I just morbid curiosity chewed on a leaf, which was like one leaf. It's like the equivalent of biting your fingernails.
You still got a bunch of flowers.
I'm not going to eat these flowers. I don't know what I'm going to do with them yet, but I've got them.
You're going to give them to the guy's widow?
I mean, I could do that. It would also imply that I go back to that village.
The slight problem is he never asked the guy's name before everything happened.
I would assume if I returned and said, oh, by the way, who did I kill? I have flowers for the widow. They would probably maybe tell me the guy's name.
I'm sure the halflings will say, join us for a meal and we'll discuss it.
Mm.
And the next comment would be, it's not cannibalism unless we're eating halflings.
Mm. I couldn't argue with that. It's not cannibalism, I was eating a leaf.
Well, it wasn't a turtle.
Mm.
Yeah. Can I suggest you avoid being so helpful next time?
Fine.
Yes. I'm not certain that the restraint of not burning down the village when they were looking for justice after you killed one of them.
I didn't kill him.
Oh.
I merely knocked him out. And in a series of unfortunate events, my staff turned him into a tree. Well, you never know. In a generation, that inn might become famous for this giant tree growing through the building.
I'm not certain that helps the gentleman in question, though.
But the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few.
As long as the few are
you're saying that the sense that the many that wanted to get the few, i.e. you, we should have let them.
No, not at all. You see, the royal me is infinitely more than the many.
Mm-hmm.
I also don't know why Zadros has picked up a British accent in the last half hour. We're gonna...
Just be careful, you might suck your own pointed ears as well.
I'm glad to see Dimitri's rubbing off.
That was probably the most Dimitri act we've had so far from Xandros.
Exactly.
I think the big thing with Xandros is his intentions were so pure, but did not adapt to a change in circumstance.
Exactly what happened to Dimitri over time.
Well, I would suggest we keep moving.
Yes, carry on.
What you have noticed is this side of Alleybrook there have been no dwarves.
Cool.
We happen to catch the last of them, probably. I'm guessing we're getting to Dragontree early mid-afternoon.
Well, you get there as you get into the region, dusk starts to fall because it's always dusk at Dragontree.
Okay, yeah. I just wanted to tell you, it was 6 hours, but hey, we left at the crack of mid-morning, so I was thinking early mid-afternoon, but happy that it's dusk, that's fine.
And as you reach the region of Dragontree, you are greeted by a Dragonborn with his cart.
Is that Drazzle?
It is.
There's not many other Dragonborn with the cart.
It's not many other Dragon Ball, full stop.
Oh no, there's quite a lot of Dragonborn. Well, yes, from what people know, yes, there's not that many, but in fact there are lots of Dragonborn. That's one of my characters in the Tuesday campaign certainly found out.
They travel single file to hide their numbers.
Unless, of course, you put back Draxel. He represents dozens of them by himself.
He just looks at Xandros and shakes his head sadly.
Yeah,
It was an accident.
And did you offer any recompense?
I would have if I had not tried to.
Any weregill?
I would have compensated them, but they went straight for murder, so I went straight for run away.
I think they went straight for justice. Eye for an eye, life for a life, that kind of thing.
Plant for a plant.
Or plant for soup.
Hey,
it
at
fits,
least only one person died.
and it fits the half
If
of the
they
expression food for thought.
Pardon?
And it suits the half of the expression food for thought.
Well, hey, just look at it this way. Only one person died. If we'd ended up in conflict, then a whole village would have died.
I guarantee he is dead.
See, this is why I like. See, this is like why I like Trellin. The guy's not dead. He's just Tree.
Well, that's close enough to being an elf.
So, if you became a tree, unable to move, would you
Being
be
highly
happy with your
resilient.
life? Would you be happy with your life?
Well, you hang out with your friends
take a
because
second.
you're in and in.
It's just going to take a second. Look Dimitri like dead in the eyes. Yes.
One in which you can no longer communicate with anyone you previously knew.
I don't think trees have ears, so I don't have to listen to you.
You can talk to trees. Trees can hear you.
Damn it.
Trees have feelings. You've discussed it with them.
So as long as you can get a druid to go and have a chat with him, then all's good.
You never know. Maybe if he had descendants, one of them will study the ways of a druid just to talk to his dad.
That's it. Although, I'm not sure how he would continue his line.
No, he can't continue his line, but if his line already exists...
Right, okay.
Well, anyway. Good evening, Drazzle. Pleased you could make it.
Yeah, Drazzle been waiting a while.
Do you know if the Shadow Elves have had the opportunity to return the Elfheim scions to their families?
He pauses for a moment and saying, return kids they plan to. Elves don't think in time as you do.
So the answer is not yet.
Elves have a plan.
Well, good thing we're here then, and we'll be able to return the kids forthwith. And
may not like your plan.
Allow the Shadow Elves to maintain their anonymity.
Elves no longer anonymous.
So they are concerned that if the kids are returned, then, or at least if the kids are returned forthwith, then the secret of their existence will be no longer so secret.
Elves are waking up all over the place.
Elves, as in the elves of Elfheim, or the Shadow Elves, or the Blood Elves?
He says yes and nods.
Well, perhaps we can go and chat to, and Dimitri will mention the name of the main contact that they had with them, which I think was the guy we originally put out, but yeah. Don't know, I can't remember, did I have his name down somewhere? But
I'm sure I wrote it down, I'm just checking. Oh, I just wrote him down in Shadow Elf, so... Looks like he got lucky, he can be whatever you name him.
so, but again, it's certainly not like Dimitri has forgotten his name. Okay. He was kind of interesting and had some interesting information when he finally got talking.
Drazzle points to the trees and say, trees dying.
Well, so there's one back in that town that seems to be doing really well.
He just looks at you and shakes his head sadly.
Poor taste, poor taste.
I know, but it was right there. Do we know what is causing the trees to die, Drazzle?
He nods.
Yes, we know
Can you tell me what it is?
Well, we know that the life trees are in significant danger, and hey, the elves haven't reproduced in years, and hey, it's all been worries us, but hey, part of the reason why they want to get these kids back. And especially problematic if the elves are waking up and the trees are dying, because hey, that just makes for a lot of lemmings.
Says life tree no more.
Oh, it's actually gone now, has it? Okay. Well, listen, perhaps we can talk with the elves as to discuss their plans. See if we can adjust or improve.
He nods and starts turning his cart to go in the direction you're going. Any gestures for Dimitri to lead on?
Yep. We will keep heading into Dragontree.
Okay, it takes you another hour to reach there, but you finally get on the outskirts of the city. Now, looking at it, you can see that there is a glow coming from the castle. A sickly sort of green that you remember from their technology.
Yep. So their defensive and offensive capabilities are well and truly powered by the look of it.
And floating above the castle, you see a silvery vehicle of some sort.
Like a gnome airship type size, or
Not as big as a Nomis airship, but it doesn't seem to have sails or propellers or a airbag holding it aloft.
So how is it staying airborne?
perfectly understandable and justifiable magic.
One of Rheddrians' ships or whatever.
I don't think it'll actually be Rheddrian ships, but certainly yes. When I say perfectly understandable and justifiable magic, it's in the Arthur C. Clarke sense of any technology sufficiently advanced, indistinguishable from magic.
Okay, so reaching the gate, the gate folds back upon itself as you reach it, and you're greeted by the elven leader.
I am glad to see that you are resettled and repowered.
He says
the Blood Elves have not returned.
the Blood Elves are unable to return. It seems you destroyed their transport mechanism.
We'll come back to confirm that it was all clear, all done. The children and the other kidnappees, have you been able to return them?
Oh, we haven't returned them yet. It's not safe.
Has any word been sent to say that they are safe?
Well, we can't really get word to those involved. They're currently in a war right now.
Yes, but they say part of the concern is that if they're unaware that they're safe, then the families involved may be unable to participate in the war.
They go, oh no, they'll still participate in the war. They'll be perfectly safe as long as they participate.
No, but that's just different. They're thinking that they can't participate because they'll be informed that their children will be at risk if they do participate. So it's important that we at least provide some comfort to the families that their children are indeed safe and protected.
Raphael knows all.
Makes sense to me.
Raphael has passed on details.
And he's passed on detail to all of the Elfheim elves.
In his wisdom, he has let them know what they need to do.
Fair enough then.
I think wood elves are much better on this side of things. But whatever.
The problem here is the fact that, as a player, I know what because it happened in the previous the other group, but we haven't had time to confer yet. Yes. The information that Raphael has provided is not necessarily the information that Darrican would desire to be provided, but also it's perfectly logical that the Shadow Elves are definitely followers of Raphael. But, yes. So, well. So,
that the time is almost upon us for the kin to rise up and throw down the oppressors.
good. Exactly which kin and which oppressors are we talking about?
He just smiles to you knowingly, going, it's all good, we've got it covered. I'm sure you have many other things to attend to. We'll keep the kids safe for you and return them after the war.
Perhaps we could talk with the kids and make certain that they're comfortable and let them know that their families will be aware of their security.
Oh, they're currently unable to speak at the moment. They're resting in stasis, he says.
That doesn't sound good.
Resting or imprisoned?
Hey, they won't turn to the trees. Probably.
One time, you turn one guy into a tree.
You hear from Drizzle, so far.
It was only a halfling too, wasn't it?
Oh no, it wasn't
If
human.
anything, that's half a person into a tree.
He turned a human into a tree.
It was a human, and I find amusing the idea of Trellin saying only a halfling.
Well, he got better.
I'm 6'4" now.
Yes, but you're still a halfling at heart.
Maybe.
He does say that the followers of Xanthiotl will not reach those kids while they protect them. They will keep them safe from harm. Unlike their parents.
And it's good news. I guess. I fear that their parents may desire greater assurance than the word of human.
He looks at Trellin and says, "You've got an elf there. They'll understand him. He might not be full elf, but hey, no one's perfect."
I'm a wood elf, but yeah, I can understand. Yeah.
They can see through you.
Maybe.
He does think wood elf not to be a full elf, or high elf not to be a full elf.
Okay.
That they're elves that gave up on what they knew to play with nature.
Druidcraft and all that sort of thing is still pretty magical.
He believes in the magic of science and technology.
Of course he does.
And the dictates of the almighty Raphael, he says.
Is Rheddrian comparable to Raphael?
Rheddrian...
Well, you probably don't know the relative power levels because we don't know enough about Rheddrian.
Yep.
Raphael is a couple of thousand years old as a god. Rheddrian is barely 5 years.
Yeah. Like, if you, in a lot of ways, yes. Does Raphael is he a hierarch?
No, I think he's eternal, which is the level below.
Level below. So basically, if you think of it in terms of like the character levels, in the system, you can get character level from 1 to 36. When you get to level 36, then you can start looking at becoming immortal. Well, technically you can do it beforehand, but realistically 36. But then you start at level 1 immortal to go to level 36 immortal.
Gotcha.
Rheddrian would be a level 1 or 2, and Raphael is a level 30 plus.
Right.
Okay, so Raphael is actually level 21.
21, okay.
Whereas
It's still.
that's still pretty high.
Okay. The relative differences between 1 and 20 and 1 and 30, end result pretty much the same.
Well, hey, the difference between 1 and 2 should always beat 1.
Yeah, exactly. But from a character's perspective, you'd be well aware that Raphael is a god whose name you would have known about for your entire life, and Rheddrian was someone you hadn't heard about at all until a couple of years ago. And
Maybe, yeah. Raphael might not have come into my knowledge, but whatever.
Well, but I mean, Raphael is a pretty important god in
The storyline so far.
He's in there. So you are. He's not necessarily a god that Trellin would necessarily know, but
He has heard about him through what you've been dealing with Rheddrian and the others. He's mentioned to be one of the factions.
He's one of the ones that's caused a lot of the issues.
He's belonging to the faction that is trying to protect Dragontree from the might of the Alphatian Empire.
But also from the images that we've seen, the reason he's protecting Dragontree is obviously because hey, Dragontree is an important part in the world and for his followers, but also part of the problem is that Dragontree, if they continue down their current pathway, is going to destroy all magic in the world, including all the magical races. So,
But I'm sure that's in the far distant future. That's not necessarily right now. That's someone else's problem.
yeah. Okay. Far distant future, like 5 years. Yes. So, Dimitri will be aiming to encourage them to allow us to stay the night at least, so after the day's travel, with the intent of heading off in the morning, recognising that, hey, we're not going to get, not likely to get more out of these guys. So, so are they willing to offer hospitality for the evening?
They are more than willing to offer hospitality to those who help them. Even to Trellin, they say.
Okay.
Seems that Trellin is the one they like the least, though they are also a little put out by the Druid, because that is against their beliefs.
The Druid side,
okay.
so...
Zadrus is gonna just kind of laugh to himself. He's like, these people don't even know me yet. I'm still above Trellin.
Well, the thing with Trellin, from their perspective, is the fact that he's probably not really an elf anyway, so it's not so bad.
Well, he's a surface elf, which to them is a lesser elf.
Yeah, but he's only an elf on the surface.
Mm.
He's not an elf inside.
I am.
Hey, I'm a real elf. Yes,
I'm a real elf.
What Trellin doesn't pick up is their term of "you're only an elf on the surface" is that the all the elves on the surface, all the wood elves, they treat the same way. But it cuts deeper to Trellin because he still believes that he's an elf at heart, even if he didn't grow up an elf.
Oh yes, but yeah.
But Dimitri knows better.
That's right.
Okay, so you come in. You are taken to a nice clean barracks, which was a bloody mess last time you were in here. It's a lot cleaner now, almost sterile-like in appearance.
There a sterile kind of smell to it?
There is a chemical smell to the room, yes.
Okay.
Hmm.
Which is a weird smell to get, considering you're not used to a lot of chemicals being used.
Zedrus is kind of come in and just start like sneezing uncontrollably.
When you're doing that, one of the elves turns to you and says, "I got a tablet that can fix that."
What's a tablet?
It pulls out a small white thing and says, "You swallow it with some water." And he also notes, "What doesn't kill you makes you stronger, right?"
You see,
Or taller and greener.
yeah, yesterday I would have believed you, but what doesn't kill you makes you a tree, apparently. So,
Oh, we can do that too if you'd like, except I'm not sure you'd survive it.
what are you talking about? Becoming a tree is extremely survivable. No one's ever died from becoming a tree.
Well, your personality might go away. So death of personality is a thing we know about. Because you know, when you turn someone into a vegetative state, you may as well have turned him into a tree.
Maybe if I hit them with my stick next time, they'll turn into a vegetable.
Are you that hungry? He says.
Not yet.
I'm sure you'll gain a taste for people food if you keep that up.
I'd rather not.
Or food to these people. Go to the toilet green. Well, okay. During the evening, okay, Dimitri will take the opportunity to explore and to see what they've done with the place and see if he can actually get a better look at the security and surveillance systems, try and gain a bit of understanding of the technology involved, and just as a sideline, see if you can happen to find the kids like tucked away somewhere in a broom closet.
Okay, give me a investigate roll for Dimitri.
Roll on the die, which will make it 23.
23. Okay, having a look, you see that their hot gemstones have been embedded in various places around the castle, creating some form of field that you don't think you can pass through. And you can feel your skin getting warm just being near them.
And my magical affinity getting weaker.
Yep.
Yep.
You also...
I certainly won't be pushing too closely.
You also see that there is some of the equipment that the Chusei group had described in the war to protect the mother tree. So it looks as if there are metallic constructs that wrap around a person. And there's about 10 of those sitting in the courtyard.
Now, as a player, I'm trying to remember. Were they designed as a constrictor sort of thing, or were they sort of like the Gould teleportation rigs?
They were more of a armored suit.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Powered by their technology.
Okay. Yeah. I've got a very vague image of it from when we did it on the Tuesday, but it's not actually coming to mind clearly. So, but yeah, that's cool. The
vessel above seems to be powered by the same technology. As you can see, crystals embedded in it, providing its power.
Mm-hmm. Well, excellent. Theoretically, he was looking out for the kids, but he's much more likely to get distracted and try and look into the technology, but also recognising that actually that makes me feel a bit queasy.
And you do see on one of the monitors as you're looking that they do have all the kids in what looks like a tube of glass with blinking lights and completely enclosed.
Okay.
They seem to be sleeping.
Mm-hmm. And we hadn't seen any evidence of their stasis chambers or anything like that when we first came here, when the blood alchemy controlled you.
You had not, but then they also didn't have their technology out on display either.
No, that's right. No, that's. But okay. What I can see on the screen, they certainly look comfortable enough, and I can legitimately say that yes, we've seen the kids, they're safe and secure, but not in a position to return right now, because obviously it's too dangerous for them around Delphi.
And you do also, with that roll, glance at a map showing that they have locations scattered throughout the forest of other enclaves like this.
And do they significantly match the known dead magic zones?
There's probably
about
just about 10 times more than the dead magic zones.
Okay. Is there indications that a lot of them are underground?
Hard to tell. You just know roughly where they are.
It's just a location on a map without necessarily any altitude for. Okay, yeah.
But they all seem to be in communication with each other.
Well, Dimitri will certainly be aiming to memorise that map, he said. So, but then, yeah. So that certainly, I'm happy enough that he's had a successful excursion, wanderings. He'll also double check down in the basement area and just make certain that they've managed to reopen the tunnel for the chapel, or they've actually attempted to reopen the tunnel for the chapel, but some random person decided to collapse on it.
They have reopened it. They've also reinforced it.
Yes, I don't think that Dimitri has any particular association or connection with the church that he'd prefer to sit there, so he'll certainly go for staying at the in Dragontree itself. So.
Okay, so the rest of your night and stay passes uneventfully. It's now the next day. What do you want to do now? As it's the last day of the month.
Now, technically, we got the job to try and find the kid while we were in Darrington, didn't we?
You did.
And it was only actually after we basically found the kids and realised, hang on, they're all elves, that we realised it was Alpine families that had been targeted. Is that right?
Yeah, that is true.
So in that sense, it's perfectly reasonable that we should be going back to Darrakan to report the completion of the mission.
Okay. So it is the last day of spring. You're about to head into summer.
I'm sure the weather will be beautiful.
And the domination of the fire gods.
Right?
And the domination of the fire gods.
As all should be. But yeah, okay, so we will effectively aim to get ready to depart and talk to Zathros and say, okay, well, time to test if we can get back to Pelgar Keep without going to return to our start point.
So peak. That's about as far as I got in terms of saying it backwards.
Well, you say where you jumped to.
Oh, no, sorry, it's actually, it's not Pelgar Keep backwards, it's actually, you need to be speaking Venhold backwards.
No.
Olmeth. But yeah, so.
Okay, I will give you a culture roll to see how well you can pronounce it.
This for me?
Yep, this is for Xandros, who has
you're
a
the one,
tune.
Alright,
you're the
let's...
one with the attuned silver cylinder and arrow.
15.
15, that is a pretty good roll. You managed to pronounce it perfectly backwards. And who do you bring back with you?
All within... let's say Dimitri and Trellin.
Okay.
Dressel.
So he calls out Dimitri and thinks Dimitri and Truzzle, and you disappear from there and reappear back in the Dwarven Keep. And he don't not think of Drazzle because Drazzle's cart wasn't also there.
No, but the point was that Drazzle didn't come with us, so that would have been part of the experiment to see whether or not he could drag the random person off the street.
That's what you ask as soon as you appear back in the keep. What about Drazzle? And you hear from out of the room, Drazzle here.
But
Drazzle, did you come with us or did you come on your own?
Yes.
He's always been here. He never left.
Drazzle with you and Drazzle here.
How did you get here?
He never left.
Drazzle travel with Dwarf and you to get here. But if Xandros want more explanation, Drazzle born from egg.
On a mountain top.
Me too. Me too.
How you know, he said to Trellin, because he doesn't remember telling Trellin's story. Must have told Trellin's story in past.
Or in future.
Drazzle future, Trellin past.
Same thing, really.
He does look at Xandros and say, you turn more people into plants?
Not while trying to help them. If I need to turn more people into plants because they're not good people, then I will, but I'd prefer to only turn people into plants when I want to turn them into plants.
Are you saying that the guy in Alibut was not good. That's why
Well,
you
I'm
did it.
saying some of the villagers in that place were not good. They tried to make soup out of me. Well, they wanted to.
After you made a tree out of them.
Yeah, but they intended to turn me into soup. I didn't intend to turn them into a tree. That was an accident. They weren't accidentally going to turn me into turtle soup.
But you just said that you turned him into a tree because he was not good.
No, I said if I encountered some not good people, I would not be against turning them into a tree. Because then I would intend to turn them into a tree, and there would be no problem with that. I didn't intend to turn the man into the tree.
So does that mean that a drunk man in control of a cart does not intend to run someone down? It's okay?
Well, that's a very good question. If you saw a cart that was running away and it was going to hit 5... I'm not going to do a joke about the trolley problem.
I was expecting it.
Pardon?
I was expecting it.
Yeah.
Will you run the chart over 3 people or 5 people? What if one of the 3 was a child?
Think about it like, if I saw a cart that was running away, it was going to hit 5 people, but I could stop it by turning 3 people into trees. What should I do?
Drizzle says stop cart.
So what I'm hearing
Zadra
is
smiles and says Drazzle is probably the wisest of us all.
the intent to turn people into trees.
Yes, I think intention to turn someone into trees is very important. And I did not intend to turn that man into a tree. Therefore, I cannot be held accountable for that mistake.
And so therefore, if someone doesn't intend to run someone down, that's fine.
Of course.
And someone doesn't intend to push the button on the devastation orb, that's fine.
Drizzle says, but what if someone intend to push button? Drizzle push button.
Drazzle does push buttons. Drazzle pushes everyone's buttons.
Is it fine for the person if they don't intend to push the button on the devastation orb?
Orb go boom whether you intend or not, Drizzle adds. Orb booby trap.
Yes. But if you're carrying the devastation orb and you don't intend to drop it in the middle of town as you leave, we're all good?
Drizzle shrugs, everyone burns.
Anyway.
Maybe everyone go plant.
It seems that we have found a very worthwhile teleportation hub because we don't have to return to where we teleported to in order to get back here.
Drizzle really used teleport. Not find the need.
No, but that's it. You can save time for those of us that have not enough.
Can give more time.
I'm sure you can.
Just send backwards.
Indeed, but there are other complications with sending backwards.
Brains melt.
That's one of them.
Can be tasty though.
Presumably, you're safe from being turned into a tree though, at least.
Depends, he says. Fate funny.
Apparently it is.
Has humour.
all leave. So potentially we can head to Darrican.
You can, he says.
Yep.
Closest port.
Except it's called Darrican City, and you've not done a 2-word location before.
Well,
How do we represent the space?
That's the
Like,
question.
is there a tile for the spaces?
There is not.
Hmm.
The doors don't always plan ahead.
Funny that.
the well, on the map it's just called Darrican.
Yeah, but it's actually Darrican City.
Okay.
Anything that has the same name as the country has been given the city added onto the end of it to distinguish it between it and the nation.
Common sense than in Australia or the rest of the world.
Sorry, what did you say the example?
I said, do we try it just as one word?
Well, I suggested that could be the option to go with. I mean, we could try Darrican, but presumably that could end up anywhere in Darrican.
Or outside the borders of it in the Masters Lands. Because it never takes you to the destination, it takes you outside of the destination.
Oh yeah, so we've always been outside town that we've gone to, haven't we?
Yes, you've never appeared directly in the location, but on the outskirts of its domain.
Yeah, okay. So, well, I would suggest that, yeah, it's worth ignoring the space, because what's the worst case happens?
Go back in time, Juzzle says.
If there's no place called Darrican City without a space, then we won't go anywhere. Let us know if it works. 32 seconds as you walk out of the room.
Druzzle follows. So what does our turtle do, Xandros? And does Trellin wait to see what happens?
I'll continue following Dimitri.
Okay. So you see the faith in your party members as they leave the room to watch from afar as you try this other act.
Yeah, that'll do.
Fine then. I will do it alone.
You go through the motions and you put in Darrican, and then when you get to the second eye, you're puzzled because crap, there's no other eye.
No, unfortunately. Well, and Darrican's just going to give me the whole country.
Did it work?
Apparently not. We don't have enough letters.
Fair enough. Karameikos is also out of the question.
Russell suggests Selenica. You have doorway there.
Yeah, we could just go to the night with it in from there. So, seems like they exist.
Most of the other places you can choose are a lot further away. Though you do, Dimitri does know that Kelvin should have one as well.
Yeah, I was thinking about the idea of maybe you could go back home again for a bit, but but for the purpose of this, Selenica is probably simplest. It's the known one, and hey, that's why I've just practiced a few times saying it backwards. So.
I'm going to make sure to be friends with a tree this time.
Okay.
Keep forgetting.
So this time when you rock up in Selenica with the others, you find a nice big tree in the property of the Knights River Inn. You think that the tree was that the inn was built here because of the tree, and it seems to be one of the oldest trees in the region still standing.
Is that or it used to be a person?
I'm sure that's got completely nothing to do with it being here. I'm sure. Okay, so yes, you managed to learn the tree, so you can now call out to it and travel to it whenever you need.
Well done.
Of course, you're not sure if any of the trees you knew growing up will call out to you, because you're not exactly sure what time you were pulled from. You might not have met those trees yet. And you're told that they will be able to open you a portal in the morning, but you're past the time from when they can do it today. That's the downside to the network, is they generally do it of a morning.
All good, no rush. I guess one point of discussion during the evening will be whether or not there's been reports of unusual weekend activity in the area.
They do talk about how the giants to the east have been sending scouting parties into the region, disguised as normal-sized people. But because of that, they haven't been able to identify which one's which. But occasionally a dead giant's turned up where they fell as a normal person.
Uh-huh.
Didn't know it was a giant until the person died.
Okay, so hang on, so the giants were attacking, but it was at such a distance they looked like normal people for closer in?
No, the giant in question was a brigand who, when they died, turned into a huge humanoid giant.
Right, okay, so they looked like human when they were attacking, but the illusion fell away on death.
Yes, but they didn't seem to have large weapons while attacking.
Mm-hmm. Did the weapon become large on death?
It did not.
Yeah. And how long have these raids been going on for?
The raids have been on and off over the last week.
Well, perhaps we don't need to use the teleportation circle in the morning. Perhaps we just send a message through saying, yep, Derek and Sion safe. We returned in due course. Investigating reports of giant brigand activity not appearing to be giants throughout all along the Garrick and Salonika Road and surrounds.
Well, they do also have their reports from Rheddrian, which is what they were referring to you at the Knights Rivet Inn.
Yeah.
That was basically them, Rheddrian's report saying that information to you as a catch-up.
Oh, okay, right. Sorry, so, yeah.
Because they do have more factual information than the rest of the locals.
Yeah. So in that case, then we'll reply with the message stating that if no one else is currently assigned to investigate it, we'll look into the issues.
We've had a few people. Not everyone's come back. You're welcome to go further and deeper into it, but be warned that the giants aren't playing fair, and there's rumors that they are shooting talismans into people to allow them to scry and attack from afar.
Yes, we've seen evidence of that. So.
Yeah, so be wary of any talismans that you may find of theirs. They can watch your movements and affect you from a distance. And the last person who tried to attune one of those talismans died.
Probably turned into a tree.
How did you know? He said.
Well, I'm sure. I would have thought that we're reading reports and imagining this place. Are we actually getting a direct report from someone that we're talking to?
Yes.
Okay.
He says that there was a report of someone being turned into a tree about a week ago.
See, it's not just me.
Wow.
Lots of people are getting turned into trees for lots of reasons.
Double checking the date.
The date does say it was it happened before you caused it yourself.
Okay, right. So I was more reading double checking today's date to make sure we haven't lost time unexpectedly in the teleport. And the fact that yes.
Looking at it, you're still on the last day of the month, and it does point out that the following day is the new moon. And holy day of the gods of entropy, known as the day of self-determination rising, where those who oppose the sphere of time have the most power.
Well, maybe we'll start investigating reports of giants the day after tomorrow. No reason to interfere with celebrations and festival time.
It is also the holy day of Hell, the most powerful of the entropic gods. And from Dimitri's perspective, it's spring tax day, where he owes the Duke money.
I'm sure Zeligar has the taxes ready and prepared, and I'll get there on time. Unless, of course, we make a stop in on Kelvin.
Okay, so we can finish the session here tonight, and next session I can have a story prepared for you to investigate the giants.
I'm thinking that's probably a good plan, because that also, if it turns out that Mark is available, then potentially we can get back to Keldar's Keep as well. So.
Yep. Though we can figure out what happens there. So I'm going to go. Yeah, if everyone's happy, I'm going to go to end credits because I'm really struggling with my pain right now.
Absolutely then.
Yep.
Yeah. And I will see everyone next session.
Sounds good.